Norwich Science Festival, a hive of experts all trying to solve one problem: climate change.
I have some crickets.
Henry Ayres is here to convince people to switch from meat to a rather different form of protein.
Yeah, so crickets are really healthy for you, and other insects too. So they're really high in protein. That's the key health benefit. About 70 to 74% high in protein.
Many of us will turn our noses up at this, but farming crickets has some impressive environmental credentials.
If we compare it to beef protein, for instance, they take 12 times less feed to create a kilogram of protein than beef does. And they take 2,000 times less water and 100 times less greenhouse gas emissions. That's loads, 100 times less greenhouse gas emissions to create a kilogram of cricket protein than beef protein.
So you say that it's mostly going into pet food at the moment. How soon do you think we'll be eating it as humans?
That's a great question. Well, judging by the response today, sooner than I had originally thought.
It's clear Henry thinks eating insects is the future, but what's so wrong with eating meat?
Neil Ward is a professor at the University of East Anglia, specialising in the transition to sustainable farming.
How does farming animals particularly contribute to climate change?
Yeah, so ruminant animals are probably the biggest single source of emissions from the agricultural sector, methane emissions, particularly from cows and sheep.
So with that in mind, do you think perhaps eating insects, so getting our protein from an alternative source, could be a solution to climate change?
Yeah, this is another quite sort of politically and socially sort of sensitive and delicate issue in this challenge about diet change. So, yeah, I mean, I guess there's probably a set of issues around public acceptability and, you know, whether people might be able to develop an appetite for other sorts of proteins.
Many Asian countries already include insects in their everyday diet, but is Britain open-minded enough to eat bugs for breakfast?
Head chef Francis Wolfe, whose restaurant menu has included insects in the past, thinks we are.
Insects can be delicious. There are some that are objectively flavourful and delicious, and I'm sure there's a whole wealth of insect that we haven't tried or used.
Zoë Johnson, UEA Journalism.